Okay, so welcome to today's webinar on getting started with TikTok. I'm Nicola Barrett. I'm the tech champion for social media here at the Digital Culture Network. I'm a white woman in her late 30s. I've got long red hair. I'm wearing a multicolored dress and I've got black glasses. My buddy here today is Ollie, who is our tech champion for digital marketing and strategy. Ollie's going to be in the chat and he will be joining me at the end to ask any questions. So if you put your questions into the Q&A, you'll be able to ask them at the end. Okay, pop this down. Here we go. So today's webinar is scheduled to last for an hour and that includes the Q&A. Closed captions are available on desktop and on mobile Zoom app. The webinar is being recorded and it will be sent out to you and available on the website along with any additional resources within 7 days. If you want to say hello as you have been in the chat, it's really nice to see you all and where you're from. And then if you ask any questions with the Q&A button, we'll cover them in the Q&A at the end. Okay, so you've probably heard of us if you're here. The Digital Culture Network is a group of digital specialists. We're here to support the creative and cultural sector in England with your digital marketing. And we offer lots of resources on our website, webinars like this one, and you can also find lots of articles that can help with things like your social media. So this is what we're going to be looking at today. So we're going to be covering the rise of TikTok, any considerations before you get set up, practical tips for using the platform, using TikTok for storytelling, and best practices for your videos, and then we'll have a Q&A. So, but before we get going, I'm just going to do a quick poll. So, are you or your organisation using TikTok for work? So, yes, and you're getting good results. Yes, and you may just start on it, but you haven't really sort of progressed from there. You've got a handle, but you haven't done any posting yet, or you're not on there yet. So I'll just let a few more of you answer. We've got some good responses so far. Okay, so, a few more. Right, I will end it there. So we can see that majority of you aren't on there yet. Some of you have made a start, some of you have got a handle but are yet to do any posting, and we've got a few who are getting good results, so that's really good. If you feel like you are getting good results, I'd love for you to share what organisation or what your handle is in the chat so people can take a look, because that would be really good for everyone else to kind of learn from you. Okay. So first up, what is TikTok? So if you're a complete newbie, TikTok is a social media app for short form video content. It's grown really quickly since its initial launch in 2016. It was faster than any other social media app, although Threads has absolutely taken that crown now. It's still in its infancy compared to the other big social media platforms, but it does have over 1 billion monthly active users worldwide. According to Insider Intelligence, it's the third biggest social app in the UK. These are their predictions for up to 2025. It's worth noting they did make this before Elon bought Twitter and before the introduction of Threads, so the picture may look a little bit different now. So before we get properly going, we need to address kind of the elephant in the room, concerns around TikTok and the recent bans. The app has been facing a somewhat uncertain future, with bans being brought in around the world, including the USA, the UK, Australia, Canada, Denmark, France, India, lots of others. In the UK, the ban is on the app being used on government devices. And the concerns are largely around national security, misuse of user data, and links to the Chinese government. I'm not going to pass judgment on whether TikTok is less responsible with data than other social media platforms. The reason that I'm pointing it out is because you need to have a think. If you're from an organisation that's government affiliated, for instance, if you're a public library and you're a part of the local council's structure, then you may need to check whether you're allowed to actually be using the app on any of your devices. So as of March this year, TikTok was banned on UK government devices. So that's where I want you to just have a think and check, make sure that it's okay for you to be going ahead. So once TikTok was seen as a platform where people did latest dance trends, it was only really for young people. It's changed to have a wider spread across the demographics, although it is still one of the best platforms for engaging young people. So you can see the demographic spread in this chart. I have seen others where 50 plus was more heavily sort of skewed. This was the one that I found recently. But generally speaking, it's good for attracting younger audiences, but there is more of a spread nowadays. Something that TikTok has done is it's changed the nature of other social media platforms, and in particular, Instagram. Instagram's really been trying to compete by copying the features. And for a while, Instagram became entirely focused on video with Reels. We have recently seen a bit of a shift away from that as carousels become a more popular piece of content on Instagram. Carousels are the posts with multiple pictures where you can scroll through them. This is an example from British Library. It's a little bit like Spot the Difference. This is their Instagram and their TikTok doing the same bit of content. So which one is which is my question to you. Which one's Instagram and which one is TikTok? Can you see any kind of clues? Okay, so here we go, some guesses coming in. Okay, so the eagle-eyed among you might have spotted top left, Reels. That's pretty much the only clue, that on the left it's Instagram and on the right is TikTok. So you can see how similar the platforms have made themselves look. A couple of things that are different about TikTok is that unlike other platforms, the For You page, which is the name of the main feed, the algorithm for the For You page is seen as a positive feature. So if you think about when other platforms evolved, it was a way to keep in touch with your family and your friends. And then when the chronological timeline was disrupted by the introduction of algorithms, it was seen as a negative thing, because why am I looking at all of these random creators in my feed? TikTok grew up after this when the algorithm was the norm. So for TikTok, the algorithm showing you different creators and new content is a positive. It's very much a platform about being entertained and informed, much more so than it is about staying in touch with friends. Another thing that's different about the platform as a result is that your old content can actually be served weeks, months after you've posted it. It can appear in people's timelines, in people's For You pages. So that's quite a positive for the arts if you're creating content, because it means that your content isn't just going to go up and that's it, that's the end of its lifespan, as it is often with platforms like Twitter. Okay, there are really different engaged communities on the platform, and the communities tend to exist around different hashtags. So members of that community will regularly use the same hashtag to interact. I've included a few of the big ones for the creative and cultural sector here. So there's BookTok, ArtTok, and TheatreTok. This is just doing a search for those in the app. There are lots of others that you'll find, and there will be regional ones as well. So we're going to think about the considerations before you get set up. Okay, before you even start looking at the practicalities of using TikTok, I want you to have a think about your strategy. So first up, what is your objective? The best ones for TikTok are around awareness raising, attracting new audiences, and building up a relationship with your audience. So all about engagement. You can use this platform to drive sales, but it's a lot harder to be trying to link out to a website from here than it is to be building up your reputation. The next thing is, who are you? What's your brand identity? Is TikTok the right platform for you, and why? I'm not saying it isn't, and there are lots of scientific accounts, political accounts, factual accounts on here. So it doesn't mean that if you're a serious organisation, you won't be able to use TikTok. You just need to have a think about how you're going to be communicating your brand on there. And also who to. So which audience is it that you want to grow? And is TikTok the right platform to speak to them on? Are there other platforms where you'd be better off investing your time and efforts? If you can't naturally make content for this platform, then you're going to have to find creative ways to be doing it. So if you've got like a very visual medium, it's a lot easier to make content for this platform. For example, Digital Culture Network doesn't have a TikTok account. We feel that it's a better use of our resources to be creating content for other channels. So you don't have to be on TikTok is what I'm getting at here. It's a really nice platform if you are, but you need to have a think about what you're trying to do for your brand. So some more questions to consider. I'm going to be straight with you. TikTok is a more time-intensive app than some of the other forms of social media, and that's why it gets really good engagement and is good for awareness raising. But you need to be clear about your capacity before you go ahead. A lot of people I speak to in the arts, it's one person doing everything. And you need to have some time mapped out if you're going to be doing TikTok, okay? It's not really a quick add-on. You might also need to ensure that the rest of the team are on board. If you're going to be filming things in your venue, for instance, then you're going to need to make sure that they're okay with potentially being in the videos for a start. Along with staff time, do you have a phone with a decent camera to be filming on? Will you edit in the app or on another platform? Will you need training on editing or staff if it's not you doing the editing? Who will be managing the platform? Ideally, it needs to be someone who uses and likes TikTok, because this, more than any other platform, it shows in the content. Native TikTok users make the best content creators. And how often were you posting? So the main thing is to go for you, a regular and attainable posting cadence. Now, it might be for you, that's once a week. It might be it's 3 times a week. It might be if you've got a big social media team that it's every day. But the main thing is to be consistent. The algorithm really likes consistency, and also people like consistency. They'll expect to be seeing your posts on set days. And can you be reactive to content? What about your internal sign-off procedures? Are they going to limit fast reactive content? This doesn't mean you can't be on TikTok. It's just going to affect the type of content that you're posting. Okay, so if you're listening to this and you're thinking, okay, we don't have capacity for this, I'm not going to set up an account, I would still advise you to set up an account and to get your desired handle now before someone else does, because it's a global platform and it's the worst when you've got the same handle on every platform except for one where you've got something else where you're having to put like UK on the end or something like that. If you've already got TikTok, it would be great if you could make sure that you've got a business account. The reason is you can use Business Suite tools. They've got a post scheduler, which is really handy. You'll be able to see your video insights. You'll be able to see when your audience are online, and then you can post like an hour or 2 ahead of when your audience are online. This does mean that you're not going to have access to a lot of sounds and music. And I have spoken to people who have said, we're keeping it as a personal account because I want to be able to use trending music. TikTok has launched pre-cleared commercial sounds that you can use. So you can use some of the sounds. I would warn about the legality of if you're an organisation and you're posting copyrighted music without access to copyright, just to say it is a form of marketing you're doing. So there is a little bit of a dodgy territory. Ultimately, it's up to you, but I would just put that seed of warning in your head. Okay, so we're going to move on to practical tips for using the platform. So in case you're completely brand new to the platform, I'm going to do a little whistle-stop tour of all the components that go into a TikTok. So this is the first of the screens that you'll see. This screen is used for filming on TikTok directly. You can see that big red button. Where the grey is whatever your camera is seeing. So it's grey because I've done a close-up on my computer, basically. To the right of the big red button, there's an upload button, and there you can add your footage that you've already filmed. For now, for this bit, we'll just pretend you're filming directly onto here. So there are a few more components to this area. You'll need to think about the time. So it will be from 15 seconds up to 10 minutes. I wouldn't necessarily go straight in with the 10-minute TikTok. I would generally stick to 1 to 3 minutes. 10 minutes is also when you're uploading rather than when you're filming directly on here. There are also some buttons along the right-hand side. And this is an example of one of them. This is the speed button, so you can increase the speed. For instance, if you're walking around an exhibition, then you might want to have it on a faster speed, so it's a bit more snappy. And then if you see in the bottom left, there is an option for a filter. You can add a filter while you're filming if you would like. These are some of the options. It's mostly kind of colour. Okay. And then, okay, let me go back one, sorry, two. That upload button that I was talking about on the bottom right-hand corner, if you click on that, you come through to here. And this is basically your phone gallery. So it's got lots of options in there for you to upload video and also photos. So assuming I've chosen my clip, I should explain at this point, this is James from the Digital Culture Network. He was going to be my buddy. He's unwell today. So it's going to look like I'm obsessed with James, but now you'll understand why I decided to go for him. So on this screen, there are lots of options on the right-hand side of things that you can do to your TikTok video. And you'll see there's also a button at the bottom, like a little drop down, and that gives you some more, so you can scroll through them all. If you were doing the filming instead of the uploading, you'd come through to this stage afterwards anyway. So there's lots of options on what you can do here. So first up, this is the editing button. You can edit what your video looks like. We'll come on to that in a minute, so hold that thought. Then we've got sounds. You can add sounds. There are trending sounds you can use, as I was saying. There's music. There's also here with this button the functionality to add voiceovers. It's really important that you pay attention to this button if you've got spoken language in your video. This is your add captions button, and these are subtitles for anything said in the video. If you click on them, they'll auto-populate. You will need to check for typos because you can't go back later. Once you've posted it, you won't be able to go back and edit them. So have a check. It does struggle a bit with regional accents. So this is what captions can look like on the screen. There are lots of different styling options for them. Another way that you can add text directly onto the video is with the text overlay, which is the AA button. This text is different to captions because this isn't relating to the sounds. This is just text you want to have on screen for a short while. So it might be something important to point out to the audience. And I'll show you how that looks. So that's an example of what the text overlay can look like. You can also add on effects and filters. So in between, this arrow is pointing in between them, they're either side of it. And this can change the aesthetic style of what you filmed. So you can add on color tints or graphics. This is an example of one. I think it looks a little bit like James has won the lottery in this one. And you can add stickers. So if you're using Instagram, this is basically an identical function to the stickers that are in Instagram stories. Stickers can include polls, the option to ask questions, lots of different graphics. So here are some of the options. And you can see there's hashtags, there's mentions, things like that can be quite handy to use. And these are the stickers that I've added. So we've got the hashtag, which is clickable. We've got a poll there, and I've also given James a crown. Now, if all of this was super fast and you're like, wait, what? The recording of the video will be coming out to you afterwards. So you can go back through it a bit more slowly if it's completely new to you, this area. Okay, this is the last screen that you'll see before you post. And on here, you can add in your post copy, which will be accompanying the video. And this will include your hashtags. You can tag people, and you can also add in a location, which is really good for visibility. So moving on to editing, you're going to need to think about where you're going to do this. TikTok editing is the example on the left here. And I have included on the right an example of TikTok-owned app, CapCut. Now, both of these are really good for TikTok editing because it's designed for it. I'll get Ollie to pop the CapCut URL into the chat for you. They're both free. In the event you want to use a different editor like Canva, that's fine, but you need to make sure that you add on some of the captions or overlay some text on here when you upload your video. And the reason is TikTok is a bit different to Instagram. It learns a lot about the video from the video content itself. So it looks at captions, any text, filters, stickers, anything you're putting onto it, sounds. It doesn't just look at the post copy. So that it will understand more about the video the more you make it within CapCut or TikTok. If you add everything on at an earlier stage and just upload it, it just has less to go on. So it's going to be less visible to the algorithm, basically. So at the very least, add your captions on when you come to uploading it. I will get Ollie to include a link to Canva because I mentioned it, but also to say my colleague Dean has made a really great video guide to using CapCut and Canva, and I'll get Ollie to pop that into the chat as well, because it's really handy. I would check it out. Okay, I would also recommend that you look at TikTok's Creative Center on desktop. So Ollie will pop that URL into the chat as well. On here, you can look at trends by country, you can look at trending hashtags, you can find trending sounds and videos, find keyword inspiration, you can look at the commercial sound library, you can even edit on here. So it's definitely worth having a look and having a play around with it. Okay, these are my top 10 TikTok tips. It's a bit of a tongue twister. First up, you need to shoot in 9:16 vertical format. Don't panic if this sounds like another language. It literally just means you need to hold your phone upright in portrait, the way that this woman is doing in the picture. So don't shoot in landscape. Videos that are shot vertically have a 25% higher watch through rate. And this one is really important because this is how the platform is used. So if you're filming in square or landscape formats, you're not making the most of the space that you've got available, and it's less likely to do well. Okay, next up, have a think about your text layout. So don't put text at the very bottom of the screen because that's going to go under where the post copy is, especially if it's quite a long post copy, it will open up over it. And don't put it underneath the engagement button so you can see on the right. It's just a really frustrating user experience because they can't read what you've written on the screen. Design your videos to be played with the sound on. 88% of TikTok users say sound is essential for the platform. And add subtitles. So we were talking about that closed captions button, and this is what it looks like when it's automated the subtitles for you. The audience on here are really savvy about accessibility, and they will call you out if you don't include subtitles. But also, it's useful for the algorithm. It's useful for the audience in general, like not just for accessibility. Also, it may be that you can't hear what's going on it because you're in a loud environment, for instance. You just need to basically try to make it so that your captions are clear for all of your audience. And add hashtags. So I would suggest at least 5 hashtags. There's tons of space on there now in the copy for you to add more. I'm always adamant that the hashtag for you page or hashtag FYP doesn't work. It is constantly trending, but it's constantly trending because we've all been told it might work. So people put it in the videos. The algorithm on TikTok is quite a sophisticated algorithm in terms of listening to the audience and understanding what's going on. So it wouldn't be something that the algorithm would be picking up on you using hashtag FYP. Hashtags on TikTok are really good for speaking to relevant communities, like we discussed earlier with BookTok, but they're also really handy for SEO, search engine optimization. I will explain. So you've probably heard of search engine optimization. If not, it's basically how you can get your site seen on Google search or whatever kind of search engine you're using. 40% of young people use TikTok as a search engine. So SEO is coming over into the search apps, into the social apps rather. So think about the language you're using in your post copy. Are you using keywords in order to appear in any related searches? Make use of your copy and your hashtags to include keywords about the video's content, your intended audience, and what they might be looking for to try and appear in any searches. So I'm going to show you a really quick example of me scrolling through. I did a search for Nottingham Theatre, so you can see what came up. There's videos, then there's also suggested searches, and there's even the Wikipedia page that comes up.
Is heading to the theater.
So those bits of sound from the video.
Many young girls here get so
oh, a little unexpected treat at the end there. Okay. TikTok has some really cool and unique features that invite the audience to share your content. The first one is the stitch function. This basically means that users take another video and stitch it together with yours. So they might be putting it on the beginning or the end. It's a great way to respond and to collaborate and invite engagement. I will show you what I mean. So this is Ion Theatre in Colchester responding, doing a stitch with another video.
Ditch this video showing a prop from the show you're currently in and give people 3 seconds to guess what show.
Is that of interest? Does anybody know the show based on that? I didn't know it. I would like to see it. It's called Firebringer. Okay. So the other sharing function on here is the ability to duet. With this, your original video will play alongside the audience as they react to it, basically. So it's a great function for creating new content. You have the original video, your video, they sit side by side. Have a think about what you could potentially ask your audience to duet with you on. I will show you this example. It's from the London Philharmonic Orchestra. So this is the original video, which is inviting people to duet by rapping along with the music. Okay, and this is a rap artist called Kalan, who has responded.
Y'all can't get with the rhythm, I be killing it so easily. They mind be spinning when they hear me spit, they like a DVD. I be changing the scenery, my scenery is crystal clear. They little kids when I go crazy on the beat, they drip with tears. I be super fire like a dragon when I breathe. Now I'm on another level, I say bless you when I sneeze. I'm gonna test you for the lead, I'm gonna wreck you for the breeze. Now I'm rapping with an orchestra, I'm best due for the keys. Too much stuff in the mental, I'm gonna keep a rapping for the mental. These moves I'm making cause what I do ain't no incidental. Y'all hear me now, I hear the beat and I go crazy. I ain't doing any work with you if you ain't gonna pay me. Like, whoa, that ain't cool, but now I'm due to go get what I want. I do this for passion, why y'all do it for the fun? We ain't the same, I'm already in the game. Give me any style, any beat, it's always getting slayed.
It's too good to finish it early. So you had to sit through the whole thing because I liked it too much. Okay. Number 8, sensitive content. Be aware TikTok is very up on sensitive topics and language, and you can get your content taken down really easily. So some things you need to be aware of are use of weapons. This can include, I've seen it where someone's cut a sandwich with a knife and that has been flagged as sensitive content. It often includes swearing. Now, if you've got swearing in your shows, my main advice would be to not include it in your captions, to use something else like an alternative word, or to just remove it from the captions basically, because that does tend to get it flagged. And also language around death and also suicide. So people will often use terms like unalived in place of dead or death, because of this sensor flagging it, and it will flag it more if you have it in your captions. It is quite hard to get content that's been taken down reinstated. You often have to completely re-upload, so just be aware of it. It's also a really great idea to share your most popular TikToks on other platforms, because it's a great bit of content and it saves you a lot of time and effort. But make sure you remove the TikTok watermark, the logo that shows on the video. I have spoken with Instagram and they penalise for any kind of watermarks, they've said. So there is meant to be a functionality coming out from TikTok that means you'll be able to download without this watermark, which would be great. I haven't got it yet. At the moment, I would use a workaround. There's lots of websites and apps that exist that can help you remove the watermark. I have used Snaptic, which Ollie can pop the URL for into the chat. It's not to say that this one's better than any of the others. It's just to give you something to go from if you need it. And then finally, 10, even people doing using the app lots aren't doing this one. Have a TikTok icon on your homepage alongside your other social media icons. This example is from Black Country Living Museum's homepage. They're doing a brilliant job on TikTok, so I would definitely check them out. Okay, we're going to move on to using TikTok for storytelling. Storytelling is where TikTok shines, and they recognise this themselves. These are their core values. So we've got accessible, fluid, niche, collaborative and intimate as their core storytelling values. We're going to look at these and some examples of where the arts are using them for storytelling. So first up, accessible. In this context, they're not talking about accessibility. They're talking about everyone having equal value on the platform. There isn't a hierarchy of who is most important to follow on this platform. This means the algorithm doesn't prioritize big accounts with lots of followers, and it doesn't look at your history of high-performing videos. It looks at this individual piece of content. It makes it more of an even playing field, which is really nice if you're a small organisation or artist. You may find, as a result of this, that your audience's videos about your organisation can perform better than your own. So this is an example I'm going to show. It's from a TikTok user called Gunk Lois. She's got under 900 followers. Most of her videos get quite small views. This one had over 635,000 views. It's of her and her friend at Bristol Museum. And this, if you search for Bristol Museum, is one of the top performing videos for the museum. I'll just show you this. So it's something to consider. If you're a venue that gets footfall, are there spaces there that would be good for people to film TikToks or Instagram content? Could you set some up if not? Okay, I'm going to jump in here before we go back to our 5 areas, just to explain this, because it's going to come up on the second and third one. So one of the main considerations when you're getting started with TikTok is whether you want to be responsive to trends and jump on them as they arise, or if your strategy is going to be evergreen content. I'll just explain a bit about trends. Trends could be music, sounds, effects and filters, little snippets of video, the style of the editing, the content. It's basically like a video meme. It's a craze where everyone is doing the same kind of thing. So recently we saw there was like a Wes Anderson craze where everyone was doing video content in the style of Wes Anderson. So why would you choose trends? They're more likely to get big numbers of views and engagements. They show that you're responsive to the audience and the younger generation in particular. They're fun. They're great if you're struggling for new ideas on types of content. So then at the other side, we've got evergreen content, and this showcases your niche, the best of your organisation, what you want to talk about. These videos are super relevant to your organisation, and they're served to people based on their preferences and likes, not because of a trend. So why would you choose evergreen? you have a lot more control over this type of content and what you want to include. There's the opportunity to showcase your specialism. These videos could be reusable at later dates on other platforms, whereas trends are quite short-lived. And also you can build up a consistent type of video that you'll be making every time, and that can help with growing your audience. So a lot of people ask, can't we just do both? And the answer is yes, you can. Some places do it quite well, but generally speaking, you'll find over time that you'll come down stronger on one side or the other. You'll tend to be creating more trending content or more evergreen content. Okay, so going back to their 5 storytelling values, you'll see why I popped that in here. Fluid is their second value, and this relates directly to trends. So speed is really important on TikTok if you want to jump onto trends. So this first example I'm going to show you is from Motion House. They're a circus and dance company. They regularly showcase their tricks and their moves on here. This trend that they're doing is a CapCut template, and it uses this piece of music along with the phrase, proof that not everything can be an album cover. And the trend is to prove the phrase wrong by showing these like beautiful album covers out of their video. I'll show you what I mean.
Proof that not everything can be an album cover.
Before I die, I'd like to do something nice. Take my hand and I'll take you for a ride.
Okay. And the next video is from the Oxford Museum of Natural History. This trend is the editing style accompanied with the music. So I'll show you this one. So they took it as an opportunity to show some of their geology collection there. If you can jump onto trends, they can really pick up your video and get it served to a much wider audience. But because they have a short shelf life, you're not going to want to invest lots of time and money into the individual videos, and that is fine. So on TikTok, 65% of users say that professional looking videos from brands feel a bit weird. Authenticity is really important, and it's fine for things to be filmed and edited on your phone and for things to not be polished and professional looking. If you decide to go down a trends route, then you need to have someone who is managing the app, who is making the videos, that is passionate about TikTok, that is on there all the time and understands the trends as they come out. Because a brand jumping on a trend like a couple of months late is going to put people off, basically. You want it to be that they understand what is going on in the world of TikTok. Okay, so this is our evergreen value. Niche. Niche is a pretty exciting one for the arts. So what is your niche? Lean into it, assume the audience are completely into that topic as well. You can find a whole new audience on here when you showcase what you're all about. TikTok's a really good platform for having fun with your art form, for showing why you love it, for experimenting. This example is from Brunel's SS Great Britain. This is a really fun, informative video. The information is similar to what you would get if you visited them. And you want to show the audience things that they're going to love to see when they visit, or the kind of experience that they will get if you have an audience coming in the door. Also, you may find that if you are a venue, that some of your audience can't visit because they're overseas, for instance. So this is their experience of coming, essentially. I'll show you this one.
This week, I have been mostly eating, well, the same thing we eat every week here in Steerage. Ship's biscuit. It's biscuit for breakfast, biscuit for lunch, and biscuit again for dinner. Tell you what though, doesn't take you long to work out why the crew call it hardtack. Nothing in this but flour and water, baked till kingdom come. Makes it long-lasting and cheap, which is why here in Steerage it's what we get instead of bread. But how do you enjoy this delicacy? Well, first of all, you've got to knock out the weevils, the creepy crawlies that live inside. Bang it on the table, or failing that, on your elbow, and then you soak it for at least 15 minutes. At breakfast, might be in your tea or coffee, if you can tell the difference. And at dinner time, well, it might be water or even a bit of rum if you've been to the bar. Then, if you've got a bit of your ration left, spread butter on and enjoy. Just goes to show you, you really do get what you pay for on board.
Okay. And this next example is from South London Galleries. So here you're going to see the evergreen content, like we were saying, it doesn't have to be this high production values. It can be just a little snippet of conversation with an artist. Posting regularly about your niche in this way builds up your brand reputation as experts in the area. So I'll show you this one.
I'm Rini Matic, and this is my exhibition Upon This Rock at South London Gallery. I don't think about what Britishness means to me because I don't have time. I'm too busy thinking about what I mean to Britishness. You know, what does patriotism mean to me? It doesn't matter. What do I mean to patriotism is what matters, because that is what oppresses me, and that's what oppresses my community and my family, because we exist as errors, and it's as if we spark like loose wires that could kind of set this whole thing on fire as if it isn't already on fire anyway. I want people to remember that it's my gaze that they're looking through. That's where I find my power in all of this. So for once, it's my gaze that's inescapable.
Okay. So, collaborative. Co-creation is a huge part of TikTok's appeal, and we saw earlier how users can stitch and duet content. So have a think, what can you invite your audience to stitch and duet on? Also, another part of collaboration is the commenting on TikTok. It's a really big part of the platform, and you need to engage and respond when people leave you comments. So here's an example. This one is from Opera North. The white text box shows us that this video is a video response to a comment. So when someone leaves a comment, you can opt to respond with video instead of with text. If you click on the comment when you're on there, it goes through to the original video. So the original video was dress rehearsals, and it was showing this performer falling onto the safety mats, and this user was praising how the fall was staged. So they decided to show the actual scene from the real performance. Comments will often tell you what people are interested in and what they want to see. So if someone leaves a comment like this, use it as an opportunity to jump onto showing a new bit of content. And the final one, intimate. So whereas Instagram content strive for perfection, you had very sort of aesthetically beautiful photoshopped images. On TikTok, in response to that, the human side of brands and creators has really come through, and showing imperfections is a lot more appealing. People love seeing behind the scenes content. Doesn't have to have a slick narrative. It's just being welcomed in and shown a little peek behind the curtain. So this example is from The Barbican, and it's of an actor having their prosthetics put on. Okay. Or you can show exhibitions being set up, sets being constructed, audiences coming in. This video from Fact Liverpool, which is an art space, shows an exhibition being set up. So if you're thinking, okay, I'm not an art gallery or a theatre, so there are some other options. If you're, say, a recording artist, you could show the studio space you're in. If you are a sculptor or making any kind of artwork, then a really nice video is of you working on the piece, so work in progress. If you're an office-based organisation and you don't have anything physical to showcase right now, maybe you're working on a festival that's coming up, you can still get into this type of storytelling by showing your team. So you might want to show your marketing team, for instance, or I know a lot of people do a day in the life. You might want to show your box office staff. So just have a think about what you can show them behind the scenes, because a lot of the time it's of interest to other people interested in the arts. Okay, and our last one before the Q&A, we are just going to look at my top recommendations, basically. So, number one, people like consistency with your videos. It's not just about how often you post or when, it's also about the style and content of the video. If you can get a series going where you're doing the same thing every time, then that can be a great way to build up your audience, because they know that they like it, they've seen it on other videos, and they're probably going to follow. Make the most of the first 3 seconds. So the intro is really important for getting the audience watching and engaged. The hook in the first 3 seconds is really important. You might have heard of something called the millennial pause. I am an older millennial, near the end of the age group. But we basically, the millennial pause, we do this thing where we start recording and we wait to check that it's working, and then we speak. And this is really alien to a younger audience, because for them, they just assume that the technology is going to work. We're going back to this kind of sad dial-up days. But as a result, it's alien to the platform too. So if you are recording yourself speaking, make sure you cut off that millennial pause at the beginning and just go straight into the action. Fast pace to your videos really helps. If it's too long, trim it down or speed up the content. It's better to have a short video than a long one where people are dropping off really early. Asking your audience for their opinion can be a great way to drive up engagement. Make the most of those functions we've looked at today. Respond to people's comments, and invite collaborations with your audience. And this is my most important tip of all. If you go away with nothing else, go away with this. When the BBC was founded, they had these 3 values at their heart, and they said that all content had to inform, educate, or entertain. This is the key to TikTok as a platform. At its heart, it isn't a selling platform, it's an entertainment platform. So your content needs to be making people feel an emotion. They need to be feeling intrigued or impassioned or feel understood and inspired, or it needs to just make them smile and laugh. So that's at the key of all of your content. Have a look at it and think, is this informing, educating, or entertaining? And if it's not, maybe it's not the right platform. Okay, and now we're going to go over to the Q&A. So hopefully there's a few questions in there. I'll get Ollie back in the chat with me.
Thanks, Nick.
Hello.
That was fantastic.
Oh, good.
Very informative. I now know how to use TikTok, I think. Yeah, we've got loads of questions. Some really great questions. I've written down 10 to start with, and we'll see how we go for time, because we've got 10 minutes. That should probably take us to the end. But do add more questions into the Q&A, and we can always follow up afterwards. And if we have time, we'll answer as many as possible. Okay, so without further ado, so the first question, and this was because unfortunately I missed it as I was too busy texting, but what was the SS Great Britain trend called?
The SS Great Britain one was an example of a niche, so it wasn't a trend, it was evergreen content. So they tend to do their content about the life on the ship, or like the experience of people going there, and they have a very regular series where they'll show this same style of video. They do some trends as well, they do occasionally jump onto them, but the bit of content I showed was evergreen, so it was their own bit of content that they could use anywhere really. Okay,
evergreen. Okay, great, thanks. I missed that in the chat, so thanks for pulling that up. Okay, so first question, and I apologize, I didn't write down whose names they were from, but here we go. Question 1: are most or all of the features available in the app also available on the desktop version?
So yes, I don't know if all are, because I have tended to use it in the app itself rather than on the desktop one, but at least most of them are available on there. Yeah.
Okay, cool, brilliant. Next question. Is it, so there's a few questions about editing within the app
Okay.
offline.
Yeah.
So I'll reel them off. Is it better
Okay.
to edit? There's 3 here. Is it
Mhm.
better to edit within the TikTok app or outside? Is it true that editing outside of TikTok affects its success? And can you edit all videos in post rather than doing it as you go? So kind of 3
Okay.
questions related to editing.
Yeah. So I would recommend, I recommend editing in CapCut. Is probably the best for editing. The reason being, as I was explaining about the TikTok algorithm reads the content that's been added onto it. So if you have added the content on in CapCut, it understands because they own CapCut. If you're making everything in like Premiere Pro and then uploading it and not adding anything in particular onto it, the algorithm won't understand the video as well as it could do if it had been made in a different platform. You can edit within the TikTok app. Some people don't like editing within there because they say it's not as easy to do as with CapCut. Or you could edit on something like Canva and then add on bits of content when you upload it, basically. The other one was about, what's the next question that was related?
The next question was, is it true that editing outside of TikTok affects its success?
So that's how it affects its success, is because you haven't given it much to read. So it hasn't got all the different features to read. It's just got the video itself and the caption, and it will take a guess at who it should be shown to, but it will understand it a lot more if it can actually read the different bits that have been added. So the sound, the captions, additional text, anything like that. It isn't true at the moment that it's kind of penalising for creating. I've had that question before where people have said, if I make it on Instagram and then upload it and adds lots of bits and pieces to it, is it reading the like metadata to know that it's been made on Instagram? And the answer is no, it's not at the moment. But it is worth adding all these features on the app itself or on CapCut.
Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Nick. Okay, so next question. How much should we be reposting content from TikTok onto other platforms?
So there isn't a kind of set amount that you should be doing it. I would say if you've got a piece of content on TikTok that's doing well, it's probably a really good piece of content because this audience expect to be entertained or expect to be educated. And a lot of the time on the other platforms, we're posting because we're trying to get people to look through to links. So this could be a really nice piece of content to live on the other platforms and give it a bit more like kind of life. You do need to remove the watermark, as I was saying, because that will get you penalised, particularly on Instagram, that will get you penalised.
Will like the aspect ratio and the format determine what you would be able to post where?
Yes, for most of them it's fine. The only one really that it can be a bit of a pain is Twitter, because obviously the Twitter it tends to be like square or landscape that you have images. You can have the longer form, but it will crop them a little bit. So that's the only one that's a bit of a pain. The others it will be fine on.
Wicked. Okay, this was one from the chat. What is meant by a native TikTok user, please?
So when I say native TikTok user, I mean somebody who is using the app for recreation. So it needs to be someone who is spending a lot of time on it, who just enjoys being on there. It's basically a way of saying that it's not someone who's been told, this is now in your job description, off you go and do it. Because those people will be able to create video content, but they're not going to be able to jump onto trends because they're not spending adequate amount of time seeing what everyone else is putting out. And it's not a criticism. Some people just don't like TikTok. And in that case, I would say they shouldn't be the people who are making your video content, because it's not going to come across as the kind of the way that you would want it to. It's not going to have that fun like entertaining vibe. It's going to be that you're having to create a new piece of content, and it's a bit of a pain to do.
Okay, that's good advice. Okay, looking at the next question here. I think another one from the chat. Can I change my name handle once created?
Oh, I don't actually know. I need to get back to you on that. Do you know who? It's Sarah, isn't it? Can I get back to you, Sarah? I will let you know. I will follow up.
Okay, cool. Nice one. Do you need permission to stitch onto someone else's video?
No. So what happens is when you upload your video content, you actually give the permissions to people. So on that final page, I was showing you where you can put in your post copy. Further down, it has options that you can select or deselect. And one of them is duetting, one of them is stitching, one of them is having comments on your videos, and you can tap them to be all on or off or whatever combination you want. If somebody has tapped for it to be fine for someone else to stitch to it, then that's it, you're fine to stitch.
Okay. So we've got 3 minutes left and about another 10 questions. So I'll just keep going until we hit
Yeah.
Yeah. You happy with that? Yeah. Are there optimum times to post as similar to like they are on Instagram?
Okay, so there are, but it's different for everyone. I know that everyone says that it's different for everyone. The optimal time for you to post is an hour or two ahead of when your audience are most likely to be on there. So if you do if you make yourself a business account, you use that URL that Ollie put into the chat for the Creative Centre, you should be able to check out when your audience are online and then post an hour or two ahead of them being online. The idea being that as soon as they come on, your video is going to be one of the bits of content that they see.
That's brilliant advice. I'll pop that link back in the chat now as well, just so it's fresh.
Sorry, I cut you off there, Ollie, because I was like, I know the answer to this.
No, yeah. You're the pro. And right, back to the questions. I've lost my place. Oh, how do you add voiceovers?
So you can add the voiceover. You know, when I was showing you the image with James in pink and it had all the little buttons on the side, one of those is a voiceover option. So basically, when you go to upload your video or to record, it's the next screen along. You'll have either uploaded or you'll have recorded. You go through to the next screen and it's one of the little white buttons on the right hand side. It has a microphone. You can add voiceovers that aren't your voice as well, like you can use one of the options. So they have kind of preset voiceovers, a little bit like sat navs have. So you can choose one of them if you prefer.
Oh, cool. There's a question about council kind of limitations, but we'll maybe take that one off the table and follow up with Laura about that, because I think that's a tricky subject. But next question after that is, can you use Spark ads and still use trending music on TikTok?
I don't know, Lucy. I will have to get back to you on that one. I'm sorry. I'm not sure.
Okay, cool. I'll make a note of those. That's all good. Do you think it's too late to grow a following on TikTok? Never too late, is it?
No.
Yeah.
No. I think that it's actually a really exciting time at the moment, because a lot of the creative and cultural sector are moving on to TikTok. So actually, I think it's quite a nice time to be moving on to there. Like, we saw a bit of slowness at the beginning because people were overwhelmed with everything else they had on. And also it was an unknown platform. And now I think there's a real momentum to people going on to there. So no, I don't think it's too late. It's still a very well-used platform, particularly by the younger audience, as we saw. And it's still quite an exciting and entertaining platform. So I say give it a go.
Okay, well, on that positive end, and we've hit time. So thanks, everybody. Nick, you can say goodbye. I'll pop a link to the website just in the chat, just in case anyone does want to follow up and get in touch with the team. So
let me just plug this as well quickly. We have an upcoming webinar with Ollie. It is about having limited resources, do less and achieve more with your marketing. It's a really important topic. I think that everyone who's feeling the strain of having limited resources would benefit from attending. So if you pop that link in the chat as well, Ollie.
Oh, thanks, Nick. Yeah, that's really kind of you. Yeah, I will do. Okay.
And
well,
then, yeah, just follow us on all of the socials. Follow us on Twitter. Well, all of the socials. Follow us on Twitter. You can follow me on Threads as well. Thank you, Ollie, for doing a brilliant job. And then, yeah, come and check out the DCM website. It was lovely to see you all. Thank you for all the questions.
bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye, everyone.